This is the Planet Reigate podcast.
Hello, welcome to episode 6 of the Planet Reigate podcast. I'm Peter Stewart. On the way today, relax, deep breaths, the changes of the clocks not too far away, which means that we've got those early nights. And also that kind of sense of hunkering down and not wanting to go out much, and maybe a little bit of stress and that sad syndrome as well. Natasha is going to be with us in a bit to help us solve our mental health and relaxation problems. Also, Jess is here too. She's another of my guests this week on the Planet Reigate podcast, helping young people find their path in life. Yeah, Jess is somebody who's going to local schools and local communities and asking people if they've got a little bit of time to spare to help some young people who may just need a little bit more support, advice and mentoring. And I caught up with her at the Carrington School a short while ago. We'll hear my chat with her in the not too distant future. Plus we have Crack the Code, the Planet Reigate Stars. We've got a whole load of stuff in the Good Time Guide and also our news and weather report as well. We've got our 60 Second Soundscape to end the day from Nutfield. All right here on the Planet Reigate podcast.
The Good Time Guide. Things to do and places to go on the Planet Reigate podcast.
So many things to tell you about this week because, of course, it is half-term week, so lots of things for you to get involved with, either yourself or with your family. First of all, let's start off with today. Autism All-Stars Foundation. They're actually holding a Doctor Who Day today at the Belfry in Redhill, of course. They say join us between 10 and 4 to meet our doctors, Daleks and K9 and interact with our TARDIS console. We'll also have a full-size TARDIS there, plus lots of stalls, a lucky dip and much, much more as well. If you're looking for something cheap to do with the kids for Halloween, Hatchlands Primary School PTA running a self-led Halloween trail today. Tickets just £2.50. Pre-booking is essential. You can find all the details of their event if you go to Hatchlands Primary School PTA on Facebook. There's another Forces Fry-Up at the Garibaldi today at 10:30am, so hopefully you're listening to this before then. Pre-booking is essential. It's aimed at serving military personnel and veterans. It's intended to provide a benign social environment for those of similar backgrounds, as well as a gateway for help for those who need it as well. So if you can't make it this week, then you may want to check out and see how you can join them in another week. Tomorrow, Sunday, well, you can join the Surrey Fun Run. Starts at 10am at Reigate Hill car park. Well, you know where that is. Run, walk or jog a 10k route or a 5k route. Entry fee is £10. All proceeds to the NSPCC. So even if you're a bit late to actually join in one of the runs, perhaps you can go along there and support other people. And if you don't want to be involved and you don't want to support, well, perhaps stay well clear, because I should imagine that car park's going to be pretty busy. On Monday, last chance to become a lifeguard in 2023. Yeah, it's a level 3 course which carries UCAS points, and it's a 5-day course running next week. And I've got an email for you and also a phone number in a few moments' time. Yeah, you can get a National Pool Lifeguard qualification to the Royal Alexandra and Albert School. And the details, as promised, are 07734 671181 or Sam at Aquapups, AQUAPUPS.co.uk. Sam at aquapups.co.uk. Something else happening in half term is a little bit of filmmaking. Moon Howlers, it's called. You can make a thriller movie at Reigate Parish School, 23rd to the 25th of October, 9am to 3pm. Also, there's a Halloween fun-filled multi-sports camp happening at Reigate Priory School, ages 5 to 14. Boy, I've got an awful lot going on there. Football, tennis, gymnastics, dodgeball, archery, rugby, arts and crafts. Cricket, kickboxing, tie-dye fun, competitions, dress-up days, sports day fun, and much more. So a short day is 9 till 3:30, and that's £30. A long day is 8:30 to 5, and that's £45. More details, campmarshallx.co.uk or 07725 908 439. That's 07725 908 439. So there's details there. As I say, not only is it at Reigate Primary School, but also it's happening at Thursfield Primary School as well in Redhill. So pretty much the same things going on at each of those on Monday. On Tuesday, the Surrey Hills Adventure Company have got something else for half term. Then you can book your youngsters on the Woodland Adventure Days, available to all young adventurers aged 6 to 12. They've got activities galore, bushcraft skills, interesting natural scavenger hunts, a tasty campfire cooking and forest fun event, which they say will ignite their imagination and creativity, plus some seasonal pumpkin carving and Halloween laughs as well. It's on the 24th, 25th and 27th between 10 and 4 at Buckland Park Lakes. It's £50 a day, so check out details on the Shack website if you are interested in that. Redhill Library's got something going on Tuesday between 2 and 3, and also Thursday between 10:30 and 11:30. You can have half-term hour of play and making with Lego for Halloween. That's for children aged 4 and above, £2 a child, redhill.library at surreycc.gov.uk, or you can pop into the libraries. That's Tuesday between 2 and 3, Thursday 10:30 to 11:30 at Redhill Library. Stripey Stork, well, I interviewed them in the week for a feature which is going to be coming up in a couple of weeks on the programme. But Stripey Stork say, have you booked your tickets yet to the Halloween afternoon tea party at Reigate Manor? Money from each ticket will be donated to us so we can continue to support families across Surrey. And this looks great fun for their afternoon tea. As I say, it's at Reigate Manor and it's happening Monday the 23rd, or all the way through, I should say, to Tuesday the 31st of October between 12 and 4. Get this for an adult's menu: three-eyed fish and cream cheese, rotten egg and cress, pig's trotter and whole grain mustard, and toxic cheddar cheese and chutney. That afternoon tea for the adults, £24. And for the kids, bat's blood jam sandwiches, gooey mud spread, scones with eyeball jam and clotted cream, and a selection of creepy sweets and cakes as well. Obviously, it's not exactly as I make out, and indeed their publicity might suggest, but you can check out the details on the Stripey Stork Facebook pages. Also happening this week, Thursday, we mentioned this last week as well, it's the 17th Redhill Beer Festival on Thursday, Friday and Saturday at Merstham Village Hall. It's between 12 and 11 on Thursday, 12 and 11 on Friday, and 12 and 6, brackets while stocks last, on Saturday the 28th. Tickets up to £4 on the Saturday. It's free, and over 70 beers, ciders and perries. Also on Thursday, Merstham Primary School for EGA Dance. They're suggesting that your kids will have the chance to explore various aspects of musical theatre, singing, dancing and acting. They say they'll have the opportunity to develop their performance skills while gaining confidence and self-expression. All the details via egadance.co.uk if you're interested in that. Also, there's a few spaces left at Brockham Arts Club for October half-term Barbie-themed workshop. That sounds fun. If you're a child aged between 5 and 11, you may want to go along to that. Their Halloween workshop, incidentally, is all sold out, but they've still got spaces at time of recording for the October half-term Barbie-themed workshop. Various art and craft activities and lots of choice to spark your child's creative interest. So you can go to Brockham Arts Club .co.uk if you want more details on that, but essentially that is on next week as well, so check out details for that one. Also Thursday 10 till 1 at Brockham Village Hall. Get ready to groove, twist and twirl in your scariest costumes as we learn some wicked dance moves. Yeah, you'll learn how to perform thrilling choreography and also play games as well. Grab your broomsticks, put on your best outfits and join us for a morning filled with spooky fun. Places are limited. Now, there's no mention of ages on the publicity that I saw, but it looks and sounds, doesn't it, as though it is for the little ones. I'm Peter Stewart. Thank you for listening today. Still to come, we've got our Planet Reigate Stars. We've got some more news and big news from Reigate Police Station this week as well. And also about the Harlequin Theatre and their pantomime performance this year, which isn't going to be at the Harlequin. Maybe you've heard about that, maybe you haven't. Got details for you not too far away. But first of all, let's catch up with Natasha. Now, she runs a business called Yogashala, and she runs that out of Buckland Park and the lake area there. A fantastic backdrop for her yoga events, as we'll hear now on the Planet Reigate podcast.
So I teach yoga Monday, Wednesday and Friday at Buckland Park Lake, and basically I run classes that are from beginners right up to strong vinyasa classes. We all gather here mainly on the lawn or in the forest, or we've got a little building down there that we use if it's raining, and we practice yoga, practice becoming mindful, present, and start to move our bodies.
Very often I kind of associate yoga with, dusty church halls and things like that. Why are you doing it outside? What does that bring you?
So much of yoga is about how you feel. It's not necessarily just about moving your body, and being in nature really helps that feeling of connection. And I think people actually find it quite nice to come to a place where, perhaps they might feel a bit uneasy about walking into a room, into a church hall, group of people, whereas the outside space, they just feel freer.
I guess looking at the nature fits in with the mindfulness, the relaxation as well.
Very much. I'm always doing mindful meditation at the end of the class, listening to sound of the birds, nature all around you, and really getting into touch with that.
The nights are drawing in, we've already noticed that, closing the curtains, snuggling up. How does that affect our whole kind of well-being? Not just with our physical frame, but also our minds as well.
Yeah, so this time of year we're really looking at nature, turning inwards and starting to nourish that energy. In the summer it would be what's known as a yang energy. You're doing lots of things, you've made lots of plans. In these coming months, it's about sort of slowing down, nurturing, and really working inwards. And it's about being present in that moment as well, and realising that these darker days do have an impact on our mental well-being.
We hear about SAD, don't we? Seasonal affective disorder, when you don't get enough sunlight. And obviously that's affecting your intake of vitamin D, isn't it?
Yeah, correct. And we're just needing this kind of to keep the light within. In terms of yoga, we would look at the light is gone outside, we keep the light within by these practices, upping the ante with the meditation, with things that are good for our body, moving our body, and awareness that this is the human nature to be a little bit susceptible to feeling a little sad when we don't see the light.
And I guess also the problem is, I use the phrase hunkering down, and that could be the problem, isn't it? You want to close the curtains, close the door, and watch TV and have a rug around you and a bowl of soup.
Yeah.
You're not moving much is really what I'm saying, potentially.
No, and we work to against that as well. We work to, move the body, but in a more gentle way. It doesn't necessarily always need to be jumping up and down and going crazy. And in yoga, you really look at that flowing with the seasons and changing your practice slightly to accommodate.
So your group is called Yogashala. The yoga I get, but the shala bit, what's that?
So shala, I got this name from Yogashala in India, where a shala is a place to go and practice yoga. And to me, that's what I was giving to these people. It's the place to come to feel safe and to practice and to learn about this ancient, beautiful practice.
And it is all about being safe, isn't it? I guess it's being safe that you're not going to push your body so it hurts, but also it's safe with other people as well. First of all, that they trust you as the teacher, the trainer, the leader, whatever you like to call yourself, but also other people in the group as well. They feel as though it's a safe space to perhaps expose their body, not literally, to expose what they're thinking and what they're doing, their practices, what they're wearing perhaps as well, their body shape.
Yeah, because it's vulnerable when you walk in that door. I've had so many people say to me, you are vulnerable, you kind of, you think, many people have turned up to yoga classes before in the past, and they say that they didn't feel comfortable. And I like to make everyone feel comfortable by teaching not just yoga on the mat. There's something you were talking about, not harming your body. So we work with the yamas and the niyamas. They're teaching us how to behave on and off of the mat. Ahimsa is something that's it's non-violence, thought, word and action. So you would always need to get into line with ahimsa when practicing yoga, and when you leave, when someone cuts you up on the road, practice ahimsa. In the West, we've really been sold this idea that it's about the physical practice, about the asanas. I can't do yoga because I can't stand on one leg. It's nothing to do with that. Asana practice is 1/8 of what yoga practice is. The others are meditation, how you're treating other people, because that has an impact on how your own well-being. If you get cross with somebody who cuts you up on the road, you're not affecting them, you're affecting yourself. And this whole idea of kindness, love and compassion is yoga.
Okay, that's really interesting. And of course, the more stress you get, that is affecting your body, really, isn't it? Because
Absolutely.
it's affecting everything from your frame to your stomach to your head to your voice to your breathing to your heart. Gosh, there's quite a list there.
There's a huge list, and you have in yoga the parasympathetic nervous system we work with. So you have a reactive nervous system and you have a calming nervous system, and we work to employ that calming nervous system. In today's world, everything's switched on all the time, and we don't realise we're just in overdrive the whole time. So it's important for us to show our bodies the way to calm down.
You're telling me you never get frustrated?
Never.
Really?
Never.
When
Ask my kids. I used to be a very angry person. I used to be very reactive. And I'd say the last 3 or 4 years, I haven't felt it. I genuinely haven't felt it.
Really?
No.
But what about when you have this feeling of, I don't know, injustice, that someone's done you wrong deliberately and you have lost out because of it,
So
unfairly?
Yoga would teach you to look behind that person in the why as to how they got there in that situation.
But that doesn't help you, does it?
Absolutely. There's a oneness to everybody. There's an understanding.
Okay, interesting stuff. If you've been inspired by what Natasha has been talking about, you want to know more about it, you want to come along here to the glorious Buckland Lake. The sun is beginning to come out just as that helicopter flies overhead, and we can just see the lake from our spot here in the picnic area. If you want to come down and join Natasha, how do they get in touch with you?
Look at my website, yogashala.club. Also, I'm here on the Buckland Park website and on Instagram, Yogashala Tasha.
Crack the Code, our weekly game for Surrey spies.
Well, every week on the Planet Reigate podcast, we send out our group of spies to see if they can crack the code, and you're welcome to join them as well. We give a clue as to where that code is, and then we invite you to write it down and to check back with us the next week to find out whether you've got the code correct. So, do you remember the clues from last week? You don't? Well, if you don't, then go back and listen to last week's episode. But, okay, now we got some code suggestions sent in for this week of what it is. So let's just punch it in and see whether we can open the massive safe this week.
0, 7, 8, 6, 5.
Yeah, so congratulations if you got last week's code correct. That was it. So if there's one from last week that's been solved, we need another one for this week to be solved next week, if you follow my drift. So, where have I been this week? Crack the code on the A25 heading out of Reigate into Godstone. We're just coming into Nutfield, and there's a big sign on the left-hand side which says South Nutfield, you turn right. And Godstone, you go straight ahead. Now, there are 3 numbers on this sign. There's the A25 at the top. There's 1 mile at the bottom. But what is the number in the middle? No decimal points or anything like that. So there's the A25 at the top. There's the 1 mile at the bottom. But what is the middle number on the sign on the left-hand side, which points to South Nutfield to turn right as you just come into Nutfield? That's this week's Crack the Code. Note it down. I'll give you the answer next week on the Planet Reigate podcast. Got quite a few news items to bring you this week on the Planet Reigate podcast. Hello, I'm Peter Stewart. Welcome to this week's show. By the way, if you haven't caught the last shows, then please do go back and listen to those as well. We've got all sorts of things which I'm sure will interest you. various guests, various features and so on. And also, please do tell your friends as well. If you're enjoying the show, then ask them and suggest to them that they listen as well. On the way, we've got Jess from MCR. Now, that's a group which supports, gives advice, mentors young people across the area, because some young people, even in our local schools, don't have the very best start in life. And if you feel as though you've done quite well, there may be something that you can give them a bit of advice and support and help on. Details with Jess in a few moments' time. First of all, let's look at our news items this week. Our hyper-local weather, incidentally, coming in a few moments' time on the Planet Reigate podcast. The show must go on. Yeah, the Harlequin Panto is going to be reinvented as a big top experience this year. Well, you've heard the reason why, of course, and that is because the Harlequin's got some of that crumbly concrete that they found. So instead of the Panto going to be there, they're going to be putting up a big top tent in nearby Memorial Park, and it's all going to be happening there as well. So that's great stuff. If you've got your tickets already for the building performance, then they're going to be automatically transferred to the big top performance, incidentally. Oh, and also we hope to be talking a bit more to the staff and the crew about the Panto in the next few weeks, so listen out for that. And if you're wondering what it is, well, there's going to be 43 performances of Beauty and the Beast between the 8th and the 31st of December. And if you want tickets, 01737 276 500, 01737 276 500, or pop into the Harlequin pop-up, which is in the Belfry shopping centre on the first floor just by the lifts. So that's one of our top stories this week as far as news goes. We've also got some more news going on this week as far as Reigate Police Station goes. Details on that in a second. First of all, plans to redevelop the former Kimberley Clarke offices in Reigate have been approved. The new office building is going to be larger but have fewer car parking spaces. So what are we talking about? It's the building which is just by Reigate Station. Actually, officially, it's 40 London Road. You'll know it at the moment. It's actually boarded up, and they're going to have 420 full-time equivalent jobs there. And Reigate and Banstead's planning committee has said that despite all that number of jobs, they're going to have 59 parking spaces. At the moment, there are 87. How does that work out? Well, they reckon that a lot of people are going to be travelling into Reigate to work at that building and coming via train, which of course is a hop, skip and jump. But if you're living in one of those local roads, particularly I'm thinking up York Road and areas like that, I should think that they're going to be potentially quite busy, people parking there instead. Also, planning application has been submitted to the change of use of the vacant church hall in Allingham Road in Reigate into a children's nursery for up to 65 children. So if you want details on either of those two stories, then you can go to reigate.uk. Also, let's tell you about how Reigate Police Station is closing. Not all of it, but certainly some departments. They found some of that reinforced autoclaved aerated concrete. You know, the kind of stuff, it's commonly called crumbly concrete. It's called rack as well. And they found it in parts of Reigate Police Station. They say health and safety of our officers, staff and visitors is of course of paramount importance, and they can't actually install those props, those vertical support systems used to support, you know, the ceiling or the floor above. So they've got to relocate teams and services elsewhere in the building and other police sites as well. So that means that the public facing front counter of Reigate Police Station's going to be relocated from the 30th of October to Caterham Police Station. So you'll still be able to go in there if you want to speak to an officer and report a crime in person. Opening hours remain the same, 8 in the morning till 10 at night, 7 days a week. And also Reigate and Banstead's local neighbourhood policing teams who spend much of their time away from the police station. They're the guys that actually do the patrolling, responding to 999 emergency calls. They're going to actually stay at the police station and a couple of other units as well. It also means, ironically, that Mole Valley, who have their CCTV monitored by police in Reigate, won't get that done because that unit is going to be transferred as well. So there's going to be no one watching those live feeds, which obviously is a bit of a concern. So that's one of our other top stories this week on the Planet Reigate podcast. Here's another one from Reigate and Banstead Council. They say they've launched a £100,000 town centre vitality fund to help increase footfall and visitor experience in the borough's towns and villages. And if you want some more details of that, then you can check out reigate-banstead.gov.uk for more details. Reigations AFC have got brand new equipment from the house builder Crest Nicholson on behalf of the community at the nearby West Vale Park development in Hawley. Yeah, the volunteer-run football club Reigations AFC wouldn't be able to run without sponsors, they say, and the donation from the house builders means that the team, which was established in 1923, now has things like corner flags, match balls, net equipment and training bibs as well. This is an interesting one from Redhill Library. They say, don't forget you can come and borrow one of our trackers. These are the watch-type trackers that'll monitor your steps, your sleep, your heart rate and other things as well. Yeah, you can actually borrow them from Redhill Library, which is really interesting. I might even do that myself. Also, the council says that work is due to start next week on a makeover of Ifold Park play area in Earlswood. They're going to be putting in a 2-tower climbing frame, a wheelchair carousel, an agility trail. Some of the play features coming soon, but it is going to be closed for 3 weeks while they actually do that. And sometimes we do job announcements. Staff are wanted to join the team at the Earlswood Lakes Cafe to work part-time only. Weekends and the occasional weekday. You've got to have 2 years experience in catering and a minimum of a level 2 certificate in food and hygiene, and also good customer skills as well. So if you think you could be the right person for the job, then check out their page, Earlswood Lakes Cafe, on Facebook, and you could be serving up the teas and the coffees and the chocolates and some of their tasty food as well in the not too distant future. Well, together with the news often comes the weather, traditionally, and just coming through now from Professor Weather, exclusive to the Planet Reigate podcast. There you go, just right, what have we got here? So we've got here that we've recorded the earliest ever air frost locally. It was last Monday, and it's also only the 6th time we've recorded an air frost in October, says Professor Weather. The latest record of the first air frost locally was back in 2022, and it was the 7th of December.
The Planet Reigate podcast. Great stories from Redhill.
And Redhill, of course, the location of the Carrington School, and I went along there a short while ago, a couple of weeks ago now, to catch up with Jess. Now, Jess was speaking to me about how she wants to get some more adults involved with helping some young people. Now, these are the young people who perhaps haven't had the very best start in life. They might have had trouble at school, they might have had trouble with the police, they might have fallen into the wrong kind of groups, but also they may just be struggling with life, their own personal identity, and what they want from life and a career. They could be struggling a little bit with schoolwork, friends, relationships, parents. Does this ring a bell? Were you that person years ago? Have you now made something of yourself and your life and you want to give a little bit back? Here's Jess to tell us a little bit more about how you may be able to help some local youngsters who need someone just like you.
We identify children that are either on the edge of the care system or in the care system, or they are young people that have got instability in their home life. So they could be a young carer, they could be an asylum seeker, could be they suffered a bereavement. And we look for mentors to carefully match with those young people to unlock their talent and their potential, and to make sure that they've got a clear pathway for what they're going to do post-education.
A lot of people, perhaps from outside the area, may think that Surrey is almost a land of milk and honey. There's lots of money around. They forget that there are still some young people who are really struggling at home and with life.
And particularly since the pandemic, that actually we've all suffered a little bit from social isolation and from poor mental health, and more than ever our young people are suffering. But also, it is that hidden harm that lots of people are struggling with different things, and they don't have that trusted adult in their life to really champion them and give them that support. So we want people from all walks of life. So you've got to be at least 21 and have a DPS checked, but apart from that, you've just got to be passionate, have compassion, and and really care about a young person. Of course, every single young person is unique, so we want a really diverse community of mentors to match that particular young person, because that relationship is really important to build trust and then champion that young person and give them the inspiration to really unlock their potential and to reach their potential.
Because originally I thought that you may be after somebody who's retired, somebody who's perhaps worked in business, that kind of thing. But actually you're saying that it could be another young person who's perhaps at university, who's got a different experience, who may be able to help give a little bit of advice.
Absolutely, yeah. So we've got people who have just graduated, we've got people that are potentially working part-time, who have that hour a week that they can spare. You could be 21 up to 101. We don't care, as long as you've got that ability to listen, those interpersonal skills, and you've got that compassion, then we'd love to hear from you.
I'm a bit intrigued about where a leg up becomes support, becomes advice, becomes telling somebody what to do, becomes mentorship. They all kind of merge into each other a little bit. There's a lot of grey area, but presumably you're not after an adult to come along and say to a young person, this is what you should do. There's a thin line, isn't there?
So first of all, we give really comprehensive training, and there is ongoing support. So we have an in-school pathways coordinator that you can always call on. There are also online resources and opportunities for ongoing training, but we do give you very clear guidelines of what mentoring is. So you have to be able to listen to that young person, and there's 5 different ways that you connect with that young person. The first and foremost is building up rapport, having a relationship, having trust, and really that trust is the gateway to opening their eyes to opportunities and really inspiring them. Every relationship is different, but the last stage is really getting them thinking about the next steps. What are they going to get out of their education? What are they aspiring to be? How are they going to get there?
This is happening in school, isn't it? You're not
Absolutely.
meeting outside, you're not going to a cafe, you're not taking them out or anything, they're not coming to your house.
No, absolutely not. No, it's all in school, and that's for 2 reasons. It's for safeguarding, but it's also because it's going to be a safe and familiar environment for that young person. And as I said, we've got the school's pathways coordinator who will be on the hand to give you support if you need it.
And we're here at Carrington School in Redhill. How's it working here?
Yeah, so we're very new in Carrington School, but I've been absolutely astonished by the reaction from the local community. So we have identified young people to come on our programme. I've been trying to recruit mentors, and we've had a really positive response. About 20 people have registered interest, but of course we've got lots and lots of young people who are going through this programme, so we need more people with diverse backgrounds and experiences to come on board when we start mentoring them in a few weeks' time.
And then you try and match people with similar interests, so someone
Absolutely.
that perhaps is really into football or is really into I don't know, the outdoors, then you're going to be putting them together with a young person that likes that kind of stuff too.
Absolutely, yeah. So the match is really important, again, for building that rapport and that trust.
So on the podcast today, we're really trying to appeal, I guess, to young people at Carrington School or indeed other schools in the Reigate, Redhill and Merstham areas, if they think that they need a little bit of help, they need a little bit of friendship, a bit of advice, bit of a boost, that kind of thing, or maybe their parents or guardians do. Or also the adults, looking at it from the other way, if they want to volunteer.
Absolutely.
So how do people get in touch if either they're a young person or they're an older person?
Yeah, so if a school is particularly interested in coming on board with a programme, so we'd love to hear from head teachers or deputy head teachers who would like to come on board. But we want to hear from volunteers, so anybody over 21 who will pass a DBS check and has an hour a week that they can spare for a minimum of 1 academic year, we would love to hear from you so we can match you with one of these young people.
Finally, Jess, what difference does it make? How valuable is it?
A huge difference. So we measure impacts in different ways. It could be educational attainment. It might be post-education destinations, so whether they're going on apprenticeships, going on to do A-levels, university, or it could be that their school attendance has gone up. There's quantifiable evidence that our young people are also developing social skills, they have increased self-esteem. It really makes a difference, and it's a very simple formula, putting people together, but if you build up that rapport and that trust and you champion a young person, then they just fly, and that's what we're seeing.
It's great that you've brought this programme to Surrey. What are the young people telling you? I mean, I guess kind of summing up, they're just kind of saying, someone's listened, someone's taking an interest in me.
Yeah, absolutely. Sometimes they're resistant initially, they're not sure why they're on the programme, but the demonstrable benefits are that they are feeling more confident, they suddenly feel that there's somebody that they trust and has belief in them.
We're here at Carrington School in Redhill. You can hear all sorts of young people around us, a couple of hundred I suppose, on their lunch break, bit of table tennis going on in the background, people hanging around talking and having a chat and eating their sandwiches and so on. Young people can be misunderstood, can't they?
Absolutely, yeah, there's a lot of misconceptions. And actually, I'm a netball coach, and that's what I do after my day job, so in the evenings. And young people can be hostile, but quite often it's a lack of self-esteem and it's anxiety. And behind that, sometimes that kind of hostile exterior is a really fragile person who just wants somebody to believe in them. And I see it often in my netball career. I've had surprising feedback from the parents to say, well, this young person actually, because you put faith in them and you encourage them, that we now see them doing better in school, they're engaging with us more at home. So yeah, don't underestimate just engaging with a young person, how much it can impact them and make a difference.
Email hello@theplanetreigatepodcast.com. Find out more at theplanetreigatepodcast.com. Leave a text or voice message on WhatsApp 07917 874 572. 07917 874 572. Follow us on Facebook, The Planet Reigate Podcast. Find us, subscribe and leave a review on your favourite podcast app. Support us at buymeacoffee.com/The Planet Reigate Podcast. Planet Reigate Stars, thanking local heroes who are out of this world.
And we've got a couple for you this week. First of all, from Becky, who says, yesterday morning, so this was earlier on in the week, around 7:30am-ish, my 16-year-old son was on his way to Dorking when he came off his moped on the Woodhatch Road just past the mill house. He went through a big diesel spill and lost the front end. There was a guy in a red van who stopped and helped him up and offered him any assistance, while everyone just drove round a kid on the floor with a moped on him. Just want to say a huge thank you to the guy in the red van who helped him. He came off unscathed, just a few bruises, shock, and his skin still intact because he had the correct motorbike gear on. So, thank you. And here's another one for you from Talitha. It says a huge thank you to the man who was just walking down the road and helped the delivery of a tabletop. I don't think he realised what he was letting himself in for, helping us with it. Thank you so much. So there's a couple of items that we've seen on social media during the course of the week. If you have someone that you would like to say thank you to, then why don't you tell us direct? hello@theplanetreigatepodcast.com.
Planet Reigate is playing sports at Donnings and enjoying the theatre at the Harlequin. And this is the Planet Reigate podcast. Hidden treasure on the Planet Reigate podcast.
So as usual, we'll end the show with a 60-second soundscape. So this week we're going to be doing that, and the sounds, uninterrupted, are actually going to be coming from Lie. So listen out for that in a few moments' time. Also telling you about what's going to be in next week's show as well. But before we go, let's cross over to Julie with this week's hidden treasure from the Children's Trust Shop in Bell Street in Reigate.
The weekly featured item will be in the shop window. So the bottom right hand corner, got a little poster against it as a plug. So if you fancy getting ahead of the game, why not come down on a Friday night and have a look? We open 9 till 5 on Monday to Saturday and 10 till 4 on Sundays. This week's item then is a brass meditating Buddha. So quite significant piece to bring to any home, weighing approximately 4 kilos. So it'd stop the tablecloth flapping. It's approximately 12 inches in height. So this item needs a pride of place, I would say. Now there's some markings on the base of the item, but they do not betray it being from any particular producer. However, I would say it's not vintage, but maybe 80s, 90s. It has a very intricate headdress, so very tactile item. The Buddha is wearing a thin garment which is draped over the left-hand shoulder. It has a lovely trim to it, and the Buddha is seated in the lotus meditating position. So such a calming piece. The Buddha is holding an item, a bowl, lidded bowl in the left hand. It has quite a significant substantial base, so this thing is not going to fall over in a breeze or even a hurricane, I'd suggest. It has a lot more detail to the front of it, and again has sort of raised decoration, so incredibly tactile. Now, when it comes to a Buddha, it's deemed an item that would bring peace and good luck to the recipient. So whether you want to make somebody's day or treat yourself, this item is guaranteed to be calming. We're asking just £40 for this one-off piece. So hurry, come along to the Children's Trust at Reigate. If you can't capture this item because somebody's beaten you to it, there's plenty of other things which every purchase will support children with brain injury.
This is the Planet Reigate podcast.
So thanks very much indeed, Planeteers, for listening to this week's episode of the Planet Reigate podcast. Very much appreciated. Thank you for being there. Don't forget to tell your friends, tell your workmates. Make sure that you download all of the available episodes, everything that we've done so far, including some of those pre-launch episodes are still available via your favourite podcast app. So listen often, download them all, tell your friends, spread the word, and also leave a review on your favourite podcast app as well. Thanks again to this week's guests, Natasha from Yogashala and also Jess from MCR Pathways. So who are we going to be hearing from in next week's episode? Well, Marie is going to be up from the Rewind Wind Band.
They range from flutes, clarinets, saxophones. We've got brass because we're a concert wind band, and percussion, which we're always in need of, drummers. Anybody that plays a wind instrument is able to come along. Even if you can play 4 notes or you can play all of them, they all make that layer of music. We focus on like different areas. So for example, it's coming up to the festive season, so we're going to be focusing on more festive music rather than some of the other pieces that we may have done. And people enjoy coming along to the rehearsals because they know that we're going to be doing a performance. Yeah, it's just to be involved in the community and musically in the community, and people can kind of see what we do and maybe come and join us, you know.
And Mark is going to be my guest as well, from Blinding Talent in Reigate.
Who would have known that we'd have in little world Reigate, that we'd have an international music marketing agency? But I used to drive through Reigate to go to Dorking. What a lovely little town this is. I never really thought any more than that. I had a look around and thought this is a lovely area. I just become very much part of the town actually, and I've got other things you probably don't know about me is that Reigate Women FC I actually founded.
All that and more in next week's episode of the Planet Reigate podcast. Again, please remember to listen, subscribe, leave a review, tell your friends as well. And if you want to get in touch with us, maybe there's something that you want to have promoted on the area's hyper-local podcast, it's hello@theplanetreigatepodcast.com. I'm Peter Stewart. Thank you so much for the loan of your ears. And we'll leave you with this week's 60 Second Soundscape, which I mentioned a few moments ago, is from Lie and A Light Plane over Lie on the Planet Reigate podcast. Have a great week.
The 60 Second Soundscape. Local natural sounds, uninterrupted.